Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. We made it. We're here. Let's go. I'm Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Thanks for joining me here today on Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. You can find us 5 days a week on this show here. We're rocking and rolling Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Monday is the only day of the week where there's a solo host. I'm solo every Monday. Monday is also the only day of the week where we talk just baseball. So we'll have an hour-long discussion for baseball. We'll throw up here in a second on the screen what we're talking about today. And I say an hour. Sometimes it's 50 minutes. Sometimes it's an hour and 5 minutes. It's roughly an hour each day, Monday through Friday. Remember, I'm normally off the show on Wednesdays, but this week, Justin Fensman and his wife are expecting the birth of their second child. So Justin won't be with us this week. He probably won't be with us the rest of the month, actually. So looks like you'll get me 5 days a week, this week, next week, and the following week to close out August before Justin is back in September. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday each week, about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, roughly a half hour into the show. We have a guest on. Usually it's Rich Mileto on Tuesdays. Wednesdays is usually, Armando Marcell is usually Tuesday. Rich Mileto is usually Wednesdays. Thursday is usually Tyler Beaker. And Fridays is Russell Clay. So you have that to look forward to the rest of the week. If you're watching this show live, or you can always watch it on demand too at 3 separate places. In those 3 places, if you're watching live, you can leave comments and questions while we're doing the show here. And we can actually address them. So if you have any questions or comments or thoughts, and I'd love to ask you a question, Ray. What do you think? Watch us live on youtube.com/ElitePlusNetwork, Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, or Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite. Any of those 3 places, you can leave a question. You can watch us live or on demand. If you don't want to watch my face, if you don't have any interest in seeing the forest that I was in behind me, the bridge I walked across, if you don't have any interest in any of that, that's my background for those of you listening on a podcast. You can go to fantasyguru.com, click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page, and find this show as well as the other shows in the Elite Sports Network. You can also type in Fantasy Sports Daily to wherever you consume podcasts. Just type in Fantasy Sports Daily. You should be able to find us there. Here we go. What are we talking about today? Marcell Ozuna, is he back in our lives? I think last week we moved on from him. Was it the right call? We'll talk about a little bit about him. Isaac Collins, Nolan, Gorman, Ha-Seong Kim, Matt Shaw, Noelvi, Marte. And on the pitching side, Cristian Javier's back in our lives. Ben Brown's making a start tonight. Cade, Povich, Kyle Bradish, Matt Brash, MacKenzie, Gore, Zack Wheeler as well. So the last 2 guys in particular interest I know for a lot of you out there. So we'll spend some time talking about them. And then we'll do waiver wires. We do every Monday, not because anyone cares what I do in my leagues personally, but it's, again, a good gauge of who's making moves on whom. How much interest is there? We'll talk about those situations here in a brief moment. Before we do that, one final note. You can always send a note to support@fantasyguru.com, support@fantasyguru.com to find any and all the things we're doing at fantasyguru.com. The big one being our draft guide. You can see it there on the screen, and it is smoking hot right now. If you want to get involved, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. Send that note to support@fantasyguru.com. Dynasty rankings, rookie rankings, IDP rankings, PPR rankings, non-PPR rankings, best ball rankings, dynasty rankings. Did I say that? On and on and on. Rankings all over the place. Articles all over the place. We have training camp this Friday, the 15th. Training camp is a separate package. You get sign up for the training camp. You get access to the leagues that include all of us. So if you want to take us on in a league this year, it's an easy way to do it. Sign up for the training camp on Friday. What is training camp? It's an all-day series of discussions and talks, much like this show is, but specifically for fantasy football. Haven't seen the full outlay yet, so I'm not exactly positive what's in it yet. Well, that should be coming out, I think, today. But we usually talk about how to handle trades, how to handle the waiver wire, how to do auctions, ranking players, all that kind of stuff. So it's basically a how-to scenario. And that includes not only that full day of coverage. And if you don't sign up on time, if you can't do it Friday, that's fine. We store all this information, so you can watch it next week if you want. But if you get signed up, you do get access to the Elite Mafia Football League as well. That's something that I know of interest to folks. So let's throw the baseball thing back on the screen there, and let's make my face a little bit bigger, because who doesn't want to see my face? 3 home runs in 2 games, 6 home runs in 12 games. Marcell Ozuna is back in our lives. Just last week, we kind of said, look, But what has really happened is, A, Austin Riley is out. B, Ronald Acuna is out, right? Two massive, 30 home run type of hitters in the middle of the lineup. And C, that means there's an opportunity for Marcell Ozuna to get back active. And Marcell Ozuna, who started out pretty well, which has been forgotten, I think, because his season overall has been such a disappointment. He was leading baseball and on-base percentage in April. I'm making that up, but it was 450 to start the year. It's still pretty good right now, but the production's obviously slowed. But his last 12 games, he's got 6 home runs, 14 RBIs. He's batting over 300, and he's got a 1,300 OPS. Now, he is difficult because he likely is just a DH. And as someone who's got, we'll talk about my Tout Wars team in a minute. I've got, Shohei Ohtani there, and he's fantastic. But when you do have a UT player, it does jam you up a little bit. And in the case of Ozuna, he's obviously not going to run. He has 0 steals this year. Didn't have I think he had 1 steal last year. The bottom line is, he's hot now and he's in the lineup now. What happens when Acuna comes back? Well, I think Ozuna's been good enough here the last 2 weeks that he probably stays in the lineup. If Riley makes it back, at that point we would, and notice I said if, because it could be a month longer for Riley. We're not certain when he's going to return. In that situation with Ozuna, maybe we'd be a little bit nervous. But again, this guy was kind of dead to us, dead to the world, hadn't been hitting at all. But over the last 2 weeks, he's one of the better power hitters in baseball. So we're back on the Marcell Ozuna train. The fact of the matter is that he's got the hip issue, and it's really sapping his athleticism. And his bat has been really volatile this year. But he is in a nice groove right now, hitting the baseball well, driving the baseball too, which has been something he hasn't done for a long time. So Marcell Ozuna is back in our lives. Isaac Collins of the Brewers. We've talked a lot about the Brewers. Everyone is. They're one of the biggest stories in baseball right now. Collins went 3 for 5 with a couple runs scored and hit a home run on the weekend. And you'll see his teammate, Mr. Perkins, actually make an appearance on Ray's team here in a bit. But Isaac Collins playing every day for this Brewers team. Not the reason they're having this success, but man, look at his production here. The last month, 18 RBIs, 14 runs scored in 22 games. 3 home runs, 3 steals. I mean, that's 2020 pace. Batting 360 with 1,000 OPS, and it's even better. The last 2 weeks, he's hitting 405, and last week, he had 8 RBIs and hit 476. So Isaac Collins, he's a very average offensive player, but the numbers this year are, he's got his average up to 295, and his OPS is over 840. And we're talking 300 plate appearances almost here. Like he's, this is a significant sample size that we're discussing. Right now, Collins is on fire. Again, he is not this guy by any stretch, but he's got a little bit of pop. Certainly can steal a base. And the bat is producing at levels right now. Again, 360 for the last month. I'm sure he's picked up. He's one of these guys that's very likely to see a tail off in production. What'll happen if the Brewers ever get fully healthy? We'll see if that'll ever happen. We'll see what'll happen with playing time, but you got to look at Collins and think that he's done enough that he's likely to stay in this lineup when things start moving forward. He's been absolutely fantastic. John G says, by the way, are we riding Vaughn over Goldschmidt right now? Yeah. Still with Vaughn, we've talked about Vaughn, and I admitted here on the show that I was wrong in terms of where we've gotten to this point with him last week. He's been better than anyone, including myself, anticipated. Obviously, the bat's going to slow down. But the problem for Goldschmidt is that even though he hit 2 home runs last week, those are only 2 home runs he's hit in the last month. And after that really strong start to the season for Goldschmidt, you look up now and, 10 home runs, 40 RBIs, and his OPS is 760. It's just, just not there. So bottom line with Goldschmidt is right now, I would be playing Vaughn over him. And that's hurts because I have Goldschmidt and I was using him into 15-team Tout Wars League, which we'll talk about in a few minutes again. I didn't even play him last week, and then he hit 2 home runs. But still. Well, we got someone on Facebook who really needs help from Bangladesh. If the Sultan, what was the line from The Office? Michael says, when the Sultan of Brunei actually asks you for money to help for his family, you something like that. So we got the Sultan of Brunei there on Facebook asking for help. Interesting. Okay, we're not going to help. Nolan Gorman's the next guy up here. RBI single in the 7th inning Sunday night to help the Cardinals to that victory over the Cubs yesterday. Gorman, he is a very interesting player. He's on one of my teams, and I'm in 15-team, 14-team leagues with all these guys hurt. So it's not a scenario where the majority of people are running to get Nolan Gorman on their team. but he's played 25 games at third and 25 at second. So he is dual position eligible at a minimum. His last 8 games since returning from injury, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, and he's hitting 333. Gorman is what Gorman is, and that is he's basically a less refined, less consistent Brandon Lau. And there's a significant difference there, obviously, because again, he's not consistent, he doesn't produce. But right now, he's in a little bit of a nice groove. And frankly, the Cardinals, Nolan Gorman's only 25. And while I think we kind of know who Nolan Gorman is at this point, he still only has 1,273 at bats in the big leagues. Like, I really feel like the Cardinals, should just let this guy roll. Should just play him every day and make a determination moving forward. Is he going to be a thing ever or not? And if you look at the way the lineup comes together right now, he should be in the lineup on a consistent basis with Nolan Arenado on the shelf. When Nolan Arenado returns, we'll see. Brandon Donovan's been struggling here of late. He's got issues, so health issues as well, family issues. There's all kinds of things going on there. So there is a chance that Nolan Gorman could consider to be part of this lineup. Realize that he's likely to be someone you don't want to play against lefties anyway. So there's a limitation here, but just pointed out, making a little bit better contact, taking a nice amount of walks this season. The batted ball data is still not great, but it's good enough that you could project him to be slightly better, or certainly in the power category than he has been. So just file that name away, Nolan Gorman here. We'll talk about Jordan Walker in a few minutes. Ha-Seong Kim, just wanted to bring him up. Drove in a pair of runs on Sunday. It's been kind of 63 plate appearances with the Rays. He's dealt with injuries since he's been promoted, all of that. Hitting 218 with a 317 on base percentage, couple home runs, 4 steals. The 4 steals is nice. And, Kim is somebody who very likely is on the waiver wire if you're in a league that's not 14 or 15 teams. Is he somebody you've got to go run out and get? No, because again, there's nothing that's stand out-ish with his effort here. It's just not the way it is with Ha-Seong Kim. But don't forget, if you're looking for someone down the stretch that could steal a base, and I know a lot of people look at that steals category and it's like, where can I go? Ha-Seong Kim is definitely someone that could be the answer to where you go. Now, he could qualify at second and short, depending on your setup. He's played 12 games at short, 5 at second, so he might be dual position eligible, which is also nice. 26 steals last 138 games. I'm looking at the data right now. The strikeout rate's up. It's 25%, which is not a crazy number, but for him, that's not good. Still, it's very reasonable to look at him and think that he's going to get a 330 batting average on base percentage, the rest of the way, steal some bases. So just file that away. Dual position eligible guys that can steal a base. No one's really talking about Ha-Seong Kim. Could have a final 6 weeks here that we're talking about. Something to think about. Matt Shaw is a player that, Matt Shaw just started to get hot after the season travails, right? The ups and downs. He's been all over the place this season. Just started to get hot heading into the trade deadline, And all we heard was, the Cubs are going to get a third baseman. The Cubs are going to get Eugenio Suarez and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, what are they going to do? Are they going to bench Matt Shaw just as he's finally finding his game? And it's like, well, look, this team wants to win a World Series this year, and he's a rookie. And okay, I get it. They got Justin Turner on the bench. Justin Turner's not really third baseman at this point, but they got Justin Turner. They added Willie Castro, and the real question was, okay, Castro's not a great offensive player, but he's very versatile, can certainly play third base. He gives you a professional at bat. Is he going to go into the starting lineup at the expense of Matt Shaw? Well, Shaw's making a statement here, and he's telling them, don't do this, Cubs. He had a 2-run home run on Sunday. He did strike out his other 2 plate appearances, and they're being very cautious with him. Like oftentimes he's pulled when there's a lefty on lefty scenario, but against right-handed pitching, really tough not to play this guy because he's doing what you do when you're about ready to lose your job. You say, hey, keep playing me. Matt Shaw, who should qualify at shortstop and third base, I think, maybe second base, third base. Depends how your system. Maybe it's just third base in your setup. But he's 5 for his last 15 with 3 home runs. Over his last 21 games, he's got 7 home runs. He's batting .323 with an 1,100 OPS. So while there were concerns at the trade deadline again 10 days ago, Shaw's going to lose his playing time. Against right-handed pitching, they got to play him. He is forcing their hand right now. And though his overall numbers aren't good, again, he's got an 1,100 OPS his last 21 games. So Matt Shaw, take a look on the old Waiver-Wire. He not only has 1,100 OPS, he's got 7 home runs and 3 steals during that time. Not running as much as before, but we'll take it with the bat and the production we're getting there. Nolan Marte, who was kicked to the outfield right before the trade deadline. The Reds then went out and got Brian Hayes, who's a very good defensive player, even though his offense stinks. Marte got kicked to the outfield. Well, he went 3 for 5 with a double, with a 3-run home run. And Marte is, he was one of my favorites last year. I think I had him 4th or 5th last year in the rookie rankings at fantasyguru.com. Then there was the PED suspension and all that nonsense. But the fact is, he can really hit. He's played 150 games as Noelvi Marte at the big league level. Spread out over 3 years. We've played 150 games. He's gone 15-20. Pretty good for a youngster. Hitting 259. Not bad. 706 OPS. Yeah, that's not good. But again, this is, he has been Randy Arozarena-like as an infielder. The good news this season is that his 19% strikeout rate is way below the mark last year of 31%. Like that's more of who he is anyway, but that's nice to see him return to that. I noted earlier the third base outfield thing. He's now up to 13 games in the outfield, so he's almost certainly dual position eligible right now, and appears to be on his pace doing that next year if you're in a keeper league, being dual position eligible infield outfield, which is always nice. The batted ball data with him, slightly better than last season and basically supportive of where his offensive game is right now. It would be nice if he walked a little bit more. That's still something, he's got a 5% walk rate. We talk about that with a lot of young players. Obviously, that's something that they need to work on. And sometimes they do gain the ability to show a little bit of patience here as their career moves forward. If we look at his O swing, last year was 39%, which is a bad number. This year it's 35%, not a great number. That's swinging at pitches outside the strike zone. If you could tighten that up a little bit, and again, that's a challenge for a lot of young players. If you could tighten that up a little bit, you might be able to sustain the batting average we see right now. But again, a little bit of power, a little bit of speed, in a nice little groove right now. He's probably a 250, 60 hitter right now, not a 287, 90 hitter like he looks like. So, expect him to hit 260 the rest of the way. But Noelvi Marte, 23 years old, he's making it happen right now for the Reds. Speaking of the pitching side of things, before we talk some waiver wire news, Ben Brown's going to start today for the Cubs. We talked about this last week. Looks like Jameson Taillon is probably going to make one more start, which will probably kick Ben Brown back to the bullpen. But he's going to make a start today against the Blue Jays. I'd have to caution there starting Ben Brown, but just basically looking at the way the rotation is playing out because of the health scenario. Horton's going to stay in the rotation. Obviously, he's been terrific the last month, not allowing any runs. And Taillon's probably, again, I don't think it's positively been announced. I might have missed it, as I'm thinking maybe they did announce one more start in the minor kind of thing for Taillon, but he's very likely to take over his spot in the rotation. So Ben Brown would just be a streaming option today against the Blue Jays, and I don't think that's a very good streaming option to avail yourself of. Cristian Javier, this is very interesting. We have talked all season long about the Astros. We have talked all season long about the fact that the Astros can't, simply put, just can't get their rotation healthy. Even right now, if you look at the rotation, Blanco's done for the year. JP France is out with the shoulder surgery. Luis Garcia is still working his way back from Tommy John surgery. Lance McCullers is now on the aisle for a blister, but it's always something with him. Hayden Wesneski's out. He's having Tommy John surgery. And then there's Cristian Javier, who's coming back from Tommy John surgery himself. Now, the news with Javier is the following. He's going to start today against the Red Sox. Do not start Cristian Javier in his first game back, his first game in the big leagues since 2024. Do not start him against the Red Sox. That's not a good move to make. Looking at Javier, what's very interesting is that Javier was excellent in 2022. He was merely average in 2023. His stuff vacillated a little bit. It wasn't where it was the previous season. He's one of these guys that in the scouting analytical community, he's very tough to figure out because he lives on the very fine line here. He has a crazy amount of fly balls, which is, you're really, if you need to have a home run to fly ball ratio in single digits to be around the league average in home runs allowed, that's a little dicey. His release point and his pitch mix make him difficult to pick up for batters in some respects, but also when you model it out, he doesn't grade out fantastically, which has always been, I'm looking at him here, like his Stuff Plus, that Stuff Plus model we talk about all the time. His fastball only one time in 5 years has been league average. Pretty tough to be a starting pitcher when your fastball is not even league average. Now his slider is excellent, 129, 123, 126. Changeup, never been 95%, so never been 5% of the league average. And then the curveball, 1 year of 100, and that was back in 2020. So the bottom line is the models don't like him. The stuff has gone up and down. He's healthy now. He's going to get an opportunity to pitch. I'll be very interested to see how he looks. He wasn't exactly pinpoint with his pitching at the minor league level, which is obviously a concern too. So the radar guns have been pretty positive with Javier. The health report's pretty positive with Javier. Control has been spotty. Difficult matchup first time out. We're watching Javier. We're not adding him for that start against the Red Sox, but we wish him well. Cade Povich pitched 6 innings of 1-run baseball against the A's on Sunday. And, Cade Povich is an interesting guy. There's been so many elite level prospects coming through the Orioles organization. Many of them have disappointed, as we're all aware. But so many of these elite level guys, a guy like Cade Povich, who, back end rotation kind of guy, he's out there pitching, though. He's not Grayson Rodriguez, never be Grayson Rodriguez. But Grayson Rodriguez can't be Grayson Rodriguez, can't stay healthy. So Cade Povich, 50 of 45 pitches, 50 of 94 pitches, yesterday of strikes. That's terrible. His ERA is now 4.9. He's going to face the Astros on the road. That's so don't be seduced by the power of the dark side when it comes to Cade Povich. I say that because I binge watched my lady's out of town on work. She's up in Seattle. So I binge watched the entire Andor series this weekend. Basically was a couch potato for 2 days. Watched 12 episodes. I never do this. I never binge watch. I usually watch maybe 2 a day, even in these shorter series, and spread them out over a week or something. But I just went for it. So I'm all in Star Wars mode after watching Andor, which I highly recommend. Season 1 of Andor I liked. Season 2 was better. Anyway, pretty good. Leads right into Rogue One for those of you that are in Star Wars. If you haven't seen it, I'm like the last person on the planet who's a Star Wars fan who hasn't seen it. Anyway, Cade Povich, I think that Cade Povich is a streamer. He's been a streamer to this point. I'm looking at all the data here. Strikeout rate's up to 24% this year. That's really nice. Walk rate's down a little bit, which is really nice. The results have been very poor. His expected ERA is 6. At the same time, his xFIP is 4. So again, where would that put his ERA? Right around the 5 mark where it currently is. I think he's a little bit better than he is here. But the fact of the matter is that he's not a star. He's never going to be a star. And you'll want to, if you can, avoid pitching him against teams that are loaded with lefties, because lefties have bashed him this year. They have a .545 slugging percentage against Cade Povich. Kyle Bradish, his teammate. Now, this is interesting. This is another team, the Orioles, that have had a really hard time staying healthy, getting healthy on the hill. Right now on the hill, if you look at their injured list, Eflin's on the injured list. We talked about Grayson Rodriguez. Tyler Wells is still working his way back. Then there's Kyle Bradish coming back from Tommy John surgery. His surgery date was June of last year. So on the calendar, he's right about there. He's expected to make at least 1 more minor league start before he's elevated to the big leagues, maybe 2. He allowed 3 runs and 3 2/3 innings on Friday in his last effort. He was throwing 95 miles an hour. So his arm appears to be healthy. That's great news. He threw a slider that, according to the reports, was slower than it used to be. This is something that often happens too, for a variety of reasons. When a guy's coming back from surgery, their release point is often different. A lot of times it's harder for guys to get back up high, so they end up dropping down a little bit after surgery. That's common. And there also could be some analytical things going on here, trying to, tunnel pitches better, or trying to give batters different looks. So when you see the velocities down on the slider, it's like, well, that's probably by design, right? Especially since the velocity was there on the fastball. So we'll continue to watch this and see how that goes. He did not have much success with the pitch on Friday, but it's good to see him, trying something different. And Kyle Bradish, maybe it's 2 or 3 starts to minors too, maybe, but he's going to likely be pitching for this team in September. So keep him on the watch list. He was very, very good, obviously, before the injuries hit him. Matt Brash got a save on Sunday. And those of you that have watched the show for a while or read my stuff over at fantasyguru.com, thank you. You still sign up for the baseball product, by the way. I know the season's getting short here and everyone's talking football, but we'll continue to do baseball all the way through the year. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. Get signed up for any of the products at FG. Send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. Support@fantasyguru.com. Send that note and say, hey guys, I'd like the baseball product. Ray said it's $50 the rest of the way. That includes seasonal, DFS, wagering, everything baseball. Anything we do baseball, any article we write, any Discord room we have, all of it for baseball, $50 the rest of the way. So send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. Matt Brash is the guy I've loved for a long time. You watch his stuff, and that off-speed pitch is sick. And he throws 95 miles an hour. He's had a little bit of a hard time kind of recapturing the full stuff after all the injuries he dealt with last year. But the good news is he's rocking and rolling right now. Picked up a save on Sunday when Andres Munoz took a little bit of a rest. He's got a 1.16 ERA, does Brash. The whip is 1.1. He's got a strikeout an inning. Walks can be an issue. They have been at times this season as well. But when Matt Brash is getting ahead in the count, he's murder on batters. And he's picking up the odd save now. So Matt Brash might be somebody you run to the waiver wire and add, depending on your league setup and what you're looking to do. Those of you in Solds leagues got to be feeling pretty good about Matt Brash right now. All right, a couple of pitchers to talk about before we hit the waiver wire. MacKenzie Gore, been terrible. A lot of people really angry in the Discord room with MacKenzie Gore. And my thought process, given what we'd seen the previous couple of outings with Gore, is like, let's sit him against the Giants and reassess. And of course, he goes out on Sunday and freaking dominates the Giants with 6 shutout innings. And this is, this comes up a lot. I was answering questions this morning again at fantasyguru.com. I think a lot of us struggle to balance better pitcher versus better matchup, right? And this is especially true because I know a lot of you, and I'm not, again, my disclaimer, not saying this to put anyone down. A lot of you are in leagues that are really shallow leagues. You're in 10-team leagues, and so you have these questions about, should I be starting this guy or not? We're in leagues where you're only starting 5 or 6 or 7 pitching spots each week instead of the 9 that's the industry standard. So it's very difficult for a lot of you. I'm answering questions every week. Like, there's a gentleman that I assume it's a gentleman asking, do I start Lindor or Perdomo? And the answer is yes. Right? Like, the answer is always yes. Got a question about Joe Ryan this morning. I've had questions about MacKenzie Gore. It's like, for me, in my leagues, these guys are just in the lineup. And so it makes it much easier. You go with the ups and downs and, you just live with it. Because, at the end of the day, the numbers are going to be there. Now, again, I play Roto too, which is different than head-to-head. But the bottom line with Gore, let's get returned to that. If you didn't start Gore against the Giants, no fault of your own. What needs to be said, too, is the Giants are not performing well offensively right now. So they are an option to target with pitchers right now. The Giants are just struggling as a team offensively, especially when they play in San Francisco. We all know that. But Gore has Gore, I don't know if he's plateaued. The workload's starting to get up there, all that kind of stuff. His ratio numbers are not good. He's got 158 strikeouts in 132 innings. He's got more than a 3-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. Like, these are good numbers. But his secondary stuff has left him a little bit of late. And I was reading a review of him last week, and the author of the article basically said that Gore's pitch mix is such that he's kind of, we're talking about Cristian Javier for different reasons, but kind of on the edge. Like, if everything's right with Gore, he's fine. But just the mixture of pitches, the location of pitches, it's just, he's got to be very fine or the batter just gets too good of a look at the pitch. So something to think about with Gore moving forward. Not right now, the temptation will be the following. You sat Gore against the Giants. Oh, shoot. Let's get him active again. I get that, but realize that he's supposed to face the Phillies on Friday. So whether you benched him or not on the weekend, I'm not recommending starting Gore this week. Depends on your alternatives, but I would not be rushing to get him back in the lineup merely because he had success against the Giants. Speaking of the Phillies, Zack Wheeler, this is a little bit of a concern. Zack Wheeler had a start pushed back because of some concerns with his shoulder. He went out and gave up 2 runs in 5 innings against the Rangers, so his effort wasn't bad. But he did walk 3 guys. That's a little high. Did still strike out 7, so he made it work here. Only threw 83 pitches. Now remember, he only threw 83 pitches. Remember, part 2, they backed to start up because of his shoulder. Remember, part 3, his velocity was down. So we're not hearing he's going to skip his next start or anything. We're not hearing any of that. And again, he was effective yesterday. But that's 3 concerns. Shoulder got a start pushed back. Velocity was down, and he was removed at 83 pitches. Those are 3 pieces that if you're a Wheeler owner, like, we're watching that next outing very closely. Because while he's supposed to be our ace, our horse, all that kind of stuff, you can't move beyond the shoulder concerns right now. They're there. So we'll hope, and to his credit, as we've talked about, he's as much of an innings eater as there is in baseball right now. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And again, a lot of guys dealing with this kind of stuff don't have 7 strikeouts and pick up a victory, right? So Wheeler was effective yesterday, but there's a difference between being effective and being dominant. The dominant piece is a little bit concerning at the moment. All right, let's throw it up on the screen here. Let's talk some waiver wires talk as we discuss things here on Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. LABR is a 15-team mixed league. You cannot in LABR pick up any players for $0. It's not possible. You have to pick up everyone for $1. I am down basically to single digits now, I think. Waiver wire, what do we got here? Flowers. Oh, I have $10 of my 100 left. I misspoke. It's a 5x5, 5x5 15-team league? League standings. Let's look at, I think it's 15. Yeah. 5x5 15-team league. You have to have money to pick up a player. There's only one team with less money than me. It's just the way it is. Again, we've talked about this a lot. I've had so many injuries. Remarkably, I've clawed my way to second place in this league. I have 90 points, and check this out. I'm at 90 points. DVR, Rudy Gamble, Fred Zinke, Prospect 361, all those teams have 89 points. So I'm in second place, but I could be in sixth tomorrow. So it's really tight right now. You look at my team, the struggles I'm dealing with right now. I lost Jonathan Aranda. I lost Ronald Acuna, who I was obviously without for longer than we anticipated to start the year. I've lost Evan Carter. I lost Tristan Cassis. I lost Garrett Mitchell. I've lost Gabriel Moreno. I've lost Gary Sanchez. On the hill, I've lost, let's see here, David Festa to the injured list. I lost Nick Lodolo recently to the blister. I've lost Bryce Miller. Like, the fact that I've even got a chance to finish in second is pretty good. Pretty good, because that's a lot of the big name players here that I was looking at. Let me see here. Jose Soriano, such a frustrating guy, Jose Soriano. Anyway, let's look at the moves that were made in this league. Remember, no $0 bids. Can't do anything like that with these guys. Cade Cavalli went for $11 in this league as well. You can't add anyone until they're promoted to the big league level. Most leagues added Cavalli last week. He wasn't on the big league roster. Couldn't add him until this week. He went for $11, bids of 2, 5, and 3. Cavalli was excellent in his first outing. We'll continue to monitor him. He was not good in the minors, as we've discussed many times, was excellent in that first outing, giving hope to those people that added him that maybe down the stretch he could be a significant performer in the fantasy space. Cristian Javier for 7. We talked about him. Houston Waldrop for 5. Waldrop is an interesting player. He's gone up and down with the Braves. He's changed his mechanics a little bit. He's toned down his leg kick a little bit, which I think has been an attempt to control the strike zone better, because that has been a significant issue for him throwing strikes. Looking at the rotation right now, it's unclear what the Braves' plan really is. Are they going 6-man? Right now, they've got Waldrop probably in the rotation. I think that's where we got to be right now. Obviously, they're welcoming back Chris Sale, hopefully in a couple of weeks, maybe 10 days there. AJ Smith-Shawver, Spencer Schwellenbach, Reynaldo Lopez, Grant Holmes. God, the whole rotation's on the injury list. Chris Sale could be back. When Sale comes back, does Waldrop hold on? Does Elder hold on? Does Carrasco hold on? Does Joey Wentz hold on? So Waldrop is intriguing, a first-round draft pick with tremendous stuff. A guy whose control has wavered significantly. He can miss bats. He can be pretty damn effective. And he's been pretty effective through 2 outings with a .86 whip. If we knew he was locked into the rotation with the Braves, we'd feel a little bit better about him. Obviously, we don't have that clarity at the moment. It might be a scenario where he does get an opportunity to pitch for them the rest of the season. We'll see. But even so, the concerns about his consistency from start to start are legitimate. And it's something to keep in mind with him. He went for $5, with failed bids of 2 and 2. Alec Thomas for $4 to Rudy Gamble. JJ Bleday for 3 to Fantasy Fix. Guys just looking to fill out the outfield. Phil Maton went for $3 to FTN. Maton, we talked about him last week. Might be the closer right now with the Rangers. Miles Mikolas for $2. Let's see. Who's Mikolas pitching against this week? Let me pull this up. Miles Mikolas. He's got a 2-start week against Colorado and the New York Yankees. One great, one with Miles Mikolas. Hey, when you're playing the standings, there you go. 2 teams bidding $2 for him. Alberto Hernandez for $2. Jason Alexander for $2. Alexander's interesting because Alexander's with Houston. And right now, we're expecting him to be in the rotation. This for at least one more turn. If he does and they stay on rotation here, he'd face the Orioles. That's not a bad matchup for him. Unclear if he's the guy that's out when these other guys start coming back that we talked about earlier. So keep that in mind. Let's see here. There are so many good players on waiver wire. So much adversity can overcome just by paying attention, especially once football starts. especially once football starts thing, I think is already starting to creep in. Some teams who looking at the standings and realizing they're in the bottom half of the league, they don't stop trying, but they kind of stop really trying, right? They spend 10 minutes looking at waivers instead of an hour, right? So I think that's already starting to play into things, Mark. And I was actually commenting the other day with Phil Backert of fantasyguru.com, who's also the host, or excuse me, the producer of the Elite Sports Show, which is Monday through Friday on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Jeff Mann Show, Elite Sports, 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm on with Jeff every Wednesday. I'll be on with him this Wednesday, of course. We're talking about Phil, and it's like, how am I like in third place and fourth place? Like how some of these teams I have, it's like, geez. And then I said to Phil, I said, you know why I'm in this spot? Because I'm grinding. You can't always grind and win. But you could, if you're in 8th place right now, you can grind and get to 5th. I'm telling you, if you're in 5th, you can grind and get to 3rd. Like you can probably do these things. So many good players on the waiver wire. There are not good players on the waiver wire in my setups, Mark. It depends on your, when you're in a 15-team league with unlimited IL spots. I mean, we just talked about it. How many guys do I have on the IL list? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have 11 players on the injured list for my labor team in a 15-team mixed league. There is nobody on the waiver wire, which is why I'm adding Sean Newcomb and getting excited. In your leagues, maybe you're able to add players, and that's great. And you should absolutely take advantage of that opportunity, especially down the stretch here. Mark's totally right. People stop paying attention for the football side of things. Mike Yastrzemski for $1, Romy Gonzalez for $1. Gonzalez, multi-position eligible, really should only play against lefties, but it's hitting the ball very hard. That multi-position thing is nice. Brad Lord for $1. Eduardo Rodriguez for $1. I looked at Eduardo Rodriguez. I actually had a bid on Eduardo Rodriguez. Then I looked at the matchup. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's pitching at Colorado this week, right? Where is Eduardo Rodriguez? Yeah, at Colorado. And I was like, I had a $1 bid. I backed out of it. I'm glad I did. I ended up with Sean Newcomb here. Eduardo Rodriguez to Baseball HQ. Rodriguez hasn't pitched great. And then we're now talking about him in a scenario where it's not a good matchup. Newcomb, by the way, his last 12 games has thrown 19 innings. He's got 22 strikeouts, a 1.4 ERA, a 0.95 whip. Still waiting for him to get us that first save of the year for the Athletics, but he's pitching very, very well here of late. The last month, he's really been locked in. He was my addition for $1. I look to stabilize the ratios a little bit here moving forward. Next up, let's talk some FSGA. It's a 14-team mixed league. In this league, I am 5th. I was 3rd yesterday. So let's see here. Yeah, I fell behind 2 teams yesterday. I was 3rd yesterday. Now I'm 5th. Another one of these scenarios where I could finish as high as 2nd, but I'm probably in the 3 to 6 zone this year. We'll see. But in this league, you have $1,000 to spend. This is the one of the 3 leagues we talk about where you can make a move on Monday. You can go ahead and make, like right now, the waiver wire is open for 3 hours on Monday. So you can go ahead and do that. David Bednar went for $85 here. Bednar obviously dropped when he became a setup man with the Yankees. Now he's back in the 9th inning mix. He went for $85 there with a fail bid at 72 and 2 others at 48. So it's some fairly aggressive bidding for him. Paul Goldschmidt went for $41. We talked about Goldschmidt earlier. Again, Goldschmidt, it's a fine addition here in a 14-team mixed league with corner infield and middle infield spots, 5 outfielders. Nice week last week, 5 for his last 15, couple home runs, I think, if I remember what I saw earlier. But he has slowed down significantly moving forward, significantly until the last week, excuse me. Cade Cavalli for $30, that's a good buy. Ray, why aren't you involved? Because in this league, I don't even know if I have $50 left in this league. I have exactly $50 left in this week. Now, again, I can add players for $0. Excuse me, I can add players for $0, but I got $50 left. One team, Roto World's got 23, Colton Wolfman and Stern. They have 18, so there's 2 teams with less than me. Player props has 924. Player props has 924, and they're in 9th place. Okay. Anyway, so I just don't have money to spend like Cade Cavalli. Sure, I don't have money to spend on that. Brandon Marsh awarded to Sports Advance Local for 23. That's a good addition. I added Jung-Hoo Lee last week. I could have really pushed things. As you can see there, I ended up with Jordan Walker at $14. Could I gone 23 with Marsh? Yeah, and I love Marsh. I have him on my Tout Wars team. We'll talk about in a second. And Marsh has been great of late. But I added Jung-Hoo Lee last 2. What I've got. And what I've got is not a lot of money left to spend here. David Schneider went for 22. Waldrop again for 15. Alec Thomas for 14. Connor Wong for 14. Jordan Walker for 14. Ray, what the hell are you doing? Jordan Walker has been in and out of the lineup. He's been in and out of the big leagues. He's been up and down. He's been all over the place. I'm looking at RT Sports right now. He's rostered in 2.4% of their leagues. So nobody's got him. It's a 14-team league, 5x5. We start 5 outfielders, so it's a deeper league. He's 8 for his last 20 with a home run and 2 steals. He's got 3 steals his last 10 games. His last 20 games, he's hitting 315. So he has certainly been better of late. Like we talked about with Nolan Gorman earlier, Jordan Walker has to play every day the rest of the way. The Cardinals have to make the decision now, even at this young stage of his career. Is he a full-time player for us next year or not? I was particularly intrigued by the fact he's starting to run again. Remember when he was being touted a couple years ago as the rookie of the year candidate and everything, people had expectations of him going 2020 as a rookie. Now that hasn't obviously materialized, but he's starting to run here. He's starting to hit. And again, 8 for his last 20 with a home run and 2 steals. In my scenario, low funds, 5 outfielders, deep league, I took a shot. We'll see. If he continued, could he hit 280 the rest of the way with 4 or 5 home runs and 6 or 7 steals? He really could. He really could. Could he hit 196 and get benched? He could. So we'll see how it plays out. As you can see there, the failed bids for him were 1, 2, and 13. Luckily, I went to $14. Blaze Alexander went for 12. Blaze is basically playing every day right now he's playing every day right now until Jordan Lawler gets called up by the Diamondbacks. What are you doing, Diamondbacks? God. I do have Lawler on the bench in this league, so that would help me out if they were to make that move. Kafis went for $11. I could have gone Kafis, who I added last week in LABR. Could have gone for him, but I took the chance on Kobe Mayo. Kobe Mayo is 5 for his last 17 with the home run and 4 RBIs. Hitting 290 with an 860 OPS. Let's hope he can keep that going as my corner infield guy. Nick Martinez went for $8. Unclear how long Martinez stays in the rotation. They're expecting back this week the Reds, Hunter Green on Wednesday. Do they go 6-man? Is it Abbott, Singer, Green, Burns, Littell, and Martinez? Do they put Martinez back in the bullpen? So, Martinez is he's the guy they turn to when someone gets hurt or there's an opportunity, right? We know that. And again, $8 out of 1,000. No negative there with him. We just unclear short term if he's going to make a start on his next outing. As of now, with Green returning, we have to assume he's out of the rotation, but they could change that and make it a 6-man. Alberto Hernandez went for $3 here. Sean Newcomb for $2. We just talked about, and Troy Johnston for $1. Finally, on to TOUT Wars. TOUT Wars league standings. I've been making a little bit of a push. Oh, look at that. Been making a little bit of a push here. The last week, I have the best team according to the standings. As a result, I'm up to second place in this league. Oh, wow, this is pretty exciting news. I'm up to second place in this league. I'm actually tied with Greg Jewett. We're both at 116 points. And Ryan Boyer's down to 118. So, this is really what's so fascinating about how this all plays out. Let me see here. I'm trying to look and see who he's got hurt. Because I know that Ryan Boyer has a great team. I'm just looking here. I'm trying to see his offense. It's hard for me. This is a little wonky of a website. No, that's not. Yeah. I thought he had. Yeah. He's his guys are starting to level off. Pete Crow Armstrong, hit 130 last week. Aaron Judge obviously missed time. That was a big loss for him. Chase Meredith got hurt. Suarez has been terrific. He's got a good team. Anyway, I'm up to tied for second. Technically, I'm in second place right now. I gained 8 points in the last week. And again, I had the best team last week going. So I won this league last year. The previous time I was in this league, I came in second. So I've jokingly said I'm going to finish third. We've talked about that on the show. Right now, first time I've been in second place in 2 months. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. Anyway, Blaze Alexander was added for $4 here for this 1,000. Remember, in this league, if you add a player, they have to go immediately into your lineup. You can add anyone you want, minor leaguers, all that kind of stuff. They have to go into your lineup. This is an on-base percentage versus batting average league. This is an innings pitched versus wins league. And it's a solds league versus a saves league. So 3 significant changes in this league. Format I love, format I tell all of you to play. First and second, the last 2 years I played it. I'm in second place right now. So again, I think this is the really good way to play the game. We'll continue to follow my team just because, but we'll really follow it for the waiver wire. Kyle Isbell went for $1. Really good addition there. And you might say to yourself, Ray, come on. I actually told someone last week to add Kyle Isbell, and I don't remember if they actually took advantage of it or not. And he was like, yeah, Isbell, he's no great shakes. But the last month, he's hitting 321 with the 368 on base percentage. You know, he's got 2 steals, scored 10 times in 17 games. Like, he's not a bad addition. Not a good addition per se, but in a deeper 15-team league with 5 outfielders, totally fine at the dollar price point. Zack MacKenzie went for $88. Zach Steiner, obviously, that's a play on the multi-position thing. Cade for 147. Pretty aggressive for Clay Cavalli. Let's see if I can pull this up here and see what the transaction logs, Cavalli. See what the Cavalli, the backup bid. So we had the 147, 22, 11, 22. Wow. So only one person went over 25, and we've seen this happen a lot. This happened to me when I got, who did I get in this league? I want to say it was Kaifas. Yeah, it was Kaifas. When I got Kaifas 2 weeks ago, I bid, what did I bid, 120, and no one else bid 25. So we're at that point of the season where people are, we don't know. Let's see. I gotta look into this. Anyway, Casey Mize, Joey Wentz is picked up for 11. We talked about the Braves. For now, Wentz is in the rotation. We assume that's the way it's going to stay, at least in the short term. He is currently set to face the Guardians in Cleveland on the weekend. Hernandez went for 88 here. Waldrop went for 11. Blake Perkins to me for $42. I made one trade here with Mr. Jewett. He won the trade going away. I traded him Yandy Diaz for the speedster in the outfield, Victor Scott. I needed steals. I need an outfielder, but I really needed steals. That was a category I was weak at. I knew that Yandy Rodriguez would get better. I didn't know that he'd go nuclear for 2 months, which is what he did like the day after I traded him, which is, again, we all been there. So anyway, finally had to move on from Scott. Just not getting it done. Blake Perkins was the addition there at $42. Perkins is no great shakes here, but in 20 games, he got 3 home runs, stolen 3 bases, league average on base percentage. The really interesting thing with Perkins is he scored 16 runs in 20 games. So really hoping that he'll be able to continue to help me in that run scored column. Just someone to kind of bide my time here as I wait for Jacob Wilson to return to my lineup. It will allow me to push some pieces around. He's obviously on the injured list right now for the Athletics. Andor for $4, Luke Weaver for $4. Good addition, Luke Weaver, obviously for some solds. Mr. Baldwin of Kansas, of the White Sox, took me a couple times there, $13. And then Mr. Hernandez of the A's for $34 with Tommy Edman going to the injured list for Ryan Boyer. So there's kind of a review of what we got, folks. Hopefully this all makes sense to everybody. Hopefully that you've enjoyed what you've seen here today on the show. Remember, you can watch this show on demand at any point in time. YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite. You can always go to FG. Just click that Elite Plus tab at the top of the page to listen to the show in a podcast. You can listen to the podcast wherever you have podcasts, Pandora, Spotify. Just type in Fantasy Sports Daily there and find the show. I'll be back tomorrow. It's a Tuesday, so I'll be visiting with Armando Marcell. We'll kind of update things here throughout the week today. The plan is for me to write the Raised Plays, do some bets for fantasy baseball here. We do have the training camp coming up on Friday, so as we get closer to that, I'll share that information with everybody here. But I hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Let's see here. There was a comment that just popped up. Thank you, Ray. Great stuff as usual. You got it, Eric. Happy Monday, says Scott. You got it, Scott. Hopefully everything is copacetic for all of you, no matter where you were. You had a great weekend, and you're looking forward to having a great week here moving forward. Jeff Mann Show, Elite Sports, is on today. It's on Monday through Friday, 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be on with Jeff on Wednesday. And this show, Fantasy Sports Daily, Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I will be hosting all this week as Justin Frenchman is away for the birth of his child. The plan is for me to host all the shows here through the rest of the month of September. So if you like me, you got me. Tell a friend about the show, spread the word, all that kind of good stuff. Remember, Monday is this solo show. Each week we talk baseball. Each of the next 4 days, we're half baseball, half football. So for those of you looking for some football discussion, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Each of those 4 days, we'll be talking football with Mr. Bosco, with Mr. Marcell, Mr. Bosco, Mr. Beaker, and Mr. Clay the rest of the week. I'm Ray Flowers. Thanks for watching, listening, and being part of the show today. We'll talk again tomorrow here on Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com.